Okay, so today we're going to dive into the incredible story of a man who started his life literally as property and rose to become one of the most influential educators in American history. This is the story of Booker T. Washington, and it's just a powerful, powerful lesson in what it means to overcome the impossible. And that's coming from the man himself. Washington doesn't sugarcoat it at all. He was born into slavery in a little log cabin in Virginia around 1856. He wasn't even sure of the exact date. For a slave, things like birthdays just weren't considered important enough to record. And when we say cabin, you have to picture what this was really like. It wasn't just his family's home, it was also the plantation's kitchen. So imagine this one tiny room, a dirt floor, no real windows, just some openings, and a literal hole in the ground for storing potatoes. That was his entire world. Life was just a constant, grinding struggle for the most basic things. He and his brother and sister slept on a pile of filthy rags right there on that dirt floor. Family meals, they just didn't happen. Food was just scraps handed out whenever. He wrote in these really heartbreaking words that they ate like dumb animals get theirs. But you see, even in all that darkness, a completely different kind of hunger started to grow inside him. It was this desperate, deep longing for something he could barely even imagine. Something he saw as the very first step toward real freedom and education. Now, freedom didn't mean life suddenly got easy. Not at all. His family moved to West Virginia, and young Booker was immediately put to work. We're talking about the intense heat of salt furnaces and the terrifying, pitch-black darkness of coal mines. He said it was the kind of work that just dwarfed a boy, physically and mentally. And it was right there in that salt furnace that his education really began. He kept seeing a number marked on his stepfather's barrels. He had no idea what it meant, but he memorized the shape. That number, the number 18, was the very first thing he ever taught himself to read. So his very first textbook was what they called a blueback speller. His mother, who couldn't read herself but shared his ambition, somehow managed to get one for him. And with no teacher, he just devoured it, determined to unlock the secrets inside. She even sewed his first cap from 2 pieces of cloth so he could finally go to a local school. You really have to try and understand what a schoolhouse meant to him. Before this, he'd only ever peeked inside one while carrying books for his master's daughter. So to actually be inside, to be learning, for him, that felt like what paradise must be like. And that dream of paradise, well, it would soon lead him on an unbelievable 500-mile journey, a test that would really define the entire rest of his life. And it all started because he overheard 2 miners, deep in the dark, talking about some great school far, far away. His journey to the Hampton Institute was just this incredible act of pure will. He walked for hundreds of miles, begged for rides when he could, and very quickly ran out of what little money he had. He ended up sleeping under a raised sidewalk in Richmond just to survive. And when he finally got to Hampton, looking like a tramp, his entrance exam wasn't a written test. It was a broom. He poured every single ounce of his determination into that one simple job. He swept the room 3 times and dusted it 4 times. When the head teacher came to inspect his work, she used a white handkerchief and couldn't find a single speck of dust anywhere. Washington later said that sweeping that room was the most important college exam he ever passed. So, having fought his way to an education against truly impossible odds, Washington decided to dedicate the rest of his life to building that exact same opportunity for others. He was only 25 when he got to Tuskegee, Alabama to start a new school. The only problem? There was no school. No land, no buildings, nothing. So he just started. He began teaching 30 students in an old, rundown church, and soon after that, he bought an abandoned plantation and held his first real classes in an old stable and a henhouse. From that stable and that henhouse, he built the Tuskegee Institute, and his whole philosophy was pretty radical for the time. He believed in teaching practical skills, things like farming, carpentry, trades, right alongside academics. And by the time he died, Tuskegee wasn't just a school, it was a world-renowned institution. And the ripple effect of his work was just enormous. He partnered with a philanthropist named Julius Rosenwald, and that partnership led to the construction of thousands of modern schools for African-American children all across the South, all of them inspired by that Tuskegee model of self-help and practical education. As he was building this incredible legacy, Washington was also developing this really powerful philosophy about what it truly means to succeed. And it's a lesson that is just as relevant for us today. So for Washington, success was never about the final destination. It was about the distance you traveled to get there. It wasn't about the position you reached in life, but all the obstacles you had to climb over along the way. This one idea, right here, it defines his entire existence. From that dirt floor cabin to the national stage, his life is the ultimate testament to his own words. And really, he leaves us with a pretty profound question to think about. What obstacles in our own lives can we transform into our greatest strengths?